For the first time in 10 months on Friday, Jayson Tatum made his return to the Boston Celtics. And, I don't know if you guys have been tuning in to Championship Rings, my debate show that happens every single week with Josh Unger. The link for that is in the description below. We've been talking about this a lot on that show because Josh Unger is a big fan of Jayson Tatum. He thinks he's a top five player in the league. You guys know I don't feel that way about Jayson Tatum. I felt like that Jaylen Brown has always been the overall better player, the more clutch player than Jayson Tatum. But I said, going into this year, we're going to see whether the Celtics, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown argument is a legit argument because if the Celtics fall off the way the Pacers have done without Tyrese Halliburton, then Jayson Tatum is clearly more valuable than Jaylen Brown. If they're about the same, then maybe they don't need Tatum. And, if they fall a little bit, maybe Tatum helps them and they're about the same level of player. You get my gist. I thought it would be the latter, where, the Celtics would be the four seed. Jaylen Brown would have a good year. He's a very good player, but clearly they would need Brown and Tatum to win the title. Instead, the Celtics are the number two seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, they're not going to obviously chase the Detroit Pistons. I think the Pistons, the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Cavs are the four favorites, in my opinion, to get, excuse me, out of the Eastern Conference. And I don't think, for the record, that whoever gets out of the East will win the NBA championship this year. But Jayson Tatum came back Friday night against the Dallas Mavericks, who, you know, I watched the game to see Tatum, but I also watched the game for the record to see Cooper Flag. That is incredible, and the Mavericks are going to be good in years to come. It may take another additional year, the way it did with Victor Wembanyama, but the Dallas Mavericks are in good shape for the record for years to come. On the Celtics side, Tatum got what, nine rebounds, 12-ish points. He was like 5 for 12 from the field. Early on, he looked really, rusty, like he was just trying to get his legs underneath him. My biggest concern, and I get, Jayson Tatum is young, modern medicine, etc. But Tyrese Halliburton, and this may be just in part because the Indiana Pacers are so bad this year, he is not going to see the court at all this year. He tore his Achilles in June, obviously, game seven of the finals. So he's going to get a year and change plus, July, August, September, maybe a little bit of preseason, start of October. So he's going to get 15 months without being on the court, which is 5 extra months than Jayson Tatum. And I just feel like, if the Celtics were not in playoff contention, they would not bring Jayson Tatum back. And I think Tatum is rushing back a little bit because, in my opinion, he sees what's going on, that we all see what's going on. People were saying even before Tatum got back that the Celtics had a chance to win the NBA championship without him. Now all the commentary is all of a sudden now if Tatum gets back to, 80% level Jayson Tatum in the playoffs, the Celtics go from they have a chance to win the title to, oh my God, are they right behind Oklahoma City and San Antonio to win the championship? I don't feel that way. Maybe if they get Nikola Vucevic back for the playoffs, he just got a broken finger. He's going to be out a month. It'd be interesting to see how they implement. They certainly have a bunch of talent. They still do live and die by the three. I think Oklahoma City is deeper. I don't think they have an answer for Wembanyama or Nikola Jokic at the center position, so I think they lose to both of those teams as well. But the Jayson Tatum aspect here is very interesting because Jaylen Brown is second in the NBA right now, right behind Luka Doncic in usage rate. And so to me, how is that going to work when you get Tatum back on the court? Now they are playing the Cavs today at the time of this recording at 1 p.m. Eastern. I said before if I was the Celtics, I would not play Tatum today. I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. I think you got to be very cautious with this because the Achilles is one of those injuries that if you don't come back fully healthy, 100%, and you don't ease yourself back in, you can easily re-tear it. And in the NBA today, with the 3-point shooting and the athleticism of these players and these guys going up and down the court. It's a lot of strain on the legs, which is why I think in part why in the postseason we're seeing a lot more injuries because these guys don't play as hard in the regular season. Then you automatically increase the intensity, you increase the amount of minutes, and these guys are flying all over the court, putting a lot of pressure on their legs at 100 miles per hour. And, the young body is not meant to go that fast for that many games, for that many minutes. Um, so my take on this is that I think Jayson Tatum, I hope he comes back healthy. I think it'd be a good story for the league. I do not think that he is the face of the league. I don't think he's even a top five face of the league. I don't think he's been that, stylistically great to watch on television, if you will. But I'm rooting for the kid because the injury obviously sucked. But I think it's a big risk for Boston. And I do think, as well as the Celtics playing, and this may sound crazy, I would have not brought back Tatum this year. Again, if you win the title without him, I get it. It could be like a Carson Wentz, Nick Foles situation in Philadelphia where they won the championship, and in hindsight, it was the worst thing to happen to Carson Wentz and Nick Foles and the franchise because they had to go out and they had to draft Jalen Hurts, and they were able to turn it around and do all that. There was talks going into, last offseason before Tatum's Achilles injury. Everybody said Boston needs to go back to back. They need to win the title this year because they're going to shed salary. And there was talk about could you trade one of Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum, and Jayson Tatum was viewed as the better player, so the thought was to trade Jaylen Brown. I'm here to tell you, if the Celtics won the NBA title this year and Jayson Tatum never, stepped foot on the court, there would have been conversations of let's trade Jayson Tatum. And I don't think Jayson Tatum wants that. And to be honest with you, I don't think the Celtics want that because the Celtics typically don't trade their big pieces unless they're in a complete rebuild, like they did, obviously, the Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen type. Uh, so my takeaway is, though, that it's going to take some time. They have a month to work out the kinks. They're going to face an Orlando. Charlotte would be an interesting matchup, obviously, the way they're playing right now. But whoever they play, they're going to get past in the first round. I think they're going to finish as the 2 or the 3 seed. And in my opinion, they will play either the Knicks or Cleveland. And for my sake, to be honest with you, I hope that it is the Knicks. Not necessarily because I'm afraid of Boston as a Cavs fan. I just want to see Cavs Pistons second round because of the JB Bickerstaff, coaching the Pistons against his former team in Cleveland type deal. Mike Brown as the Knicks head coach coaching against Cleveland would be a fun Eastern Conference Finals as well. The Knicks, they beat Boston last year, and Jayson Tatum was healthy, and I think the Knicks outplayed Boston. Maybe Boston comes back for revenge this year, but I think that Mike Brown is coaching the Knicks for a playoff run. He's not coaching the Knicks for a regular season run. So I think the Knicks are going to be a hell of a playoff team to deal with. And I am in the minority here. I think even with Tatum back, I don't think the Celtics should be favored in the East. I think the Cavs and the Knicks should be favorites over Boston in the East. But let me know if I'm wrong in the comment section below. Like that clip from the Brand's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brand's World podcast right here on YouTube.